It's Monday, August the 2nd, 2021. Welcome to another day of the Ministry Vlog. This is the Youth Worker Daily. Good morning, friends. I'm still at the house getting ready to leave. Haven't left yet, but have an early start today because we're coming down to the final days of our student meetups. This summer we've been doing meetups in different locations, grabbing coffee with students, going to our community garden with students, having lunch with students, just as a way to kind of connect with them over the summer. Since we're not running a normal, what would be a normal summer activity calendar with our students. Coming out of post-COVID here, we knew our students wanted to start getting together. The problem was because we as a church were kind of in the spot of not really knowing what to expect, especially me as the youth leader, not really fully knowing what to expect for the summer. Didn't plan a whole lot. Instead, wanted to be more intentional just with meeting with students in small groups and one-on-ones, kind of just to get through the summer, and then hit the fall full cylinders, busting, and just ready to go. And then we've already started planning for next summer, and that'll be a more regular summer. But I wanted to get on today, and I wanted to talk about these meetups and share with you kind of what they are, what we've been doing, and some of the benefits that I've seen already in doing these meetups. So it's just about time for me to get going. And so our first meetup today, actually I have two. I have one as a lunch that'll take place a little bit later on, but my first meetup is with a group of students at our local Starbucks. So it's just about time for me to head out. So I'm gonna head there, and then I'll tell you all about the meetups later on this afternoon. And I'll see you then. Okay, so we've come to the end of the day. It was a great day, and I promised I'd come back and just share a little bit more about these meetups that we've been running this summer. So let me do that briefly here. So I started doing this a couple years ago, having these meetups. Instead of having, all of the, large group, everything all summer long, I started doing meetups because it gave me the opportunity to meet with students in smaller group settings, either as like a handful, 5-6 students, or even as one-on-ones. Because for me, when you do large group activities, because I'm a program guy, my mind focuses on the program, and sometimes I have a hard time connecting with students during that program. I've had to teach myself and learn that when I run programming, I need to have people to do certain parts of the program so that I can engage with my students and not just run the show. But meetups were a great way for me to, during the summer months, set aside some time to meet with students in these smaller group settings. So what is a meetup? Well, basically what I do is I look at the calendar and I pick days where I can then meet up with students. And so after I pick my days, I'll pick a location and I'll pick a time, and I'll say something like, meet me at whatever that location is. Sometimes it's a Starbucks like we did this morning. Sometimes it's at a local restaurant like I did for lunch. Sometimes it's at the church. Sometimes it's at a local park. Wherever it is that I can, sit with students, be with students, hang out with students, talk with students, that is a great location for a meetup. Meetups are not programmed. I don't spend any real time or energy thinking of what I want that time to be. I want it to be more organic, more led by the students. I will go into the meetup times maybe with some questions or some ideas of things I'd like to ask, but those questions are more questions that will help me get to know those students. So for instance, a couple weeks ago, The Olympics were just firing up. We had a meetup. We talked a lot about the Olympics, the opening ceremony, the early sports, what sports we like, what events were good, who was winning, who was losing. And that was really great discussion because it gave me a little insight into the students who are interested in those type of things. Today, we are just about a week and a half from our kids going back to school. So today's conversation was more about the coming school year and who's excited about that. What are our goals? What are we looking forward to? What are we not looking forward to? What do we think school's going to be like now that we've come, post-COVID? How are things going to be now going back into the classroom? So the conversations are very organic and really driven by the students. Like I said, I'll have a few ideas and a few questions prepared, but really I let the students kind of steer the conversation, and I just try to keep it from going like totally off the rails. The other thing about these meetups is I try to do them in places, like I said, I pick places around the community, but I try to pick places that the students are interested in going to. So a couple weeks ago we asked, what are some of the favorite restaurants? And so I've scheduled some of the remaining meetups specifically for those restaurants where I know kids want to go. So a way to entice them to come and be a part of things, but also gives them a chance to kind of be in their element, talk about the foods that they like, do the things that they like to do. The other thing about meetups is they're designed to not accommodate everyone, which I think might be a little kind of a rub for us a little bit because we want students to participate. But really, for me, I want to reach different groupings of students. I don't want to just do the whole large group where everybody comes. I want to do smaller, specific groups. And so the locations, the times, the days, they will by nature eliminate certain students from participating. Now, I don't go in and say I don't want to meet with the students, so let me schedule something so they can't meet. That's not the goal of this. The goal of this is to keep from the same students coming out all the time. I want to be with different students at different times in different locations. And so the schedule itself just naturally works out so that some students can't come and be a part of that particular one, but they can come to another one, and that gives me a chance to meet different students at different times. For instance, we have our church and main ministry in one community, but not far from us is another community that we're reaching out to, but a lot of students come up from there. It's about 30, 40 minutes away, depending on how you go and traffic and all that good stuff, about 30 minutes away. And a lot of the times they can't make it to the midday meetups that we're doing in our home community. And so I scheduled a particular meet and greet or meetup in that community. And really the only ones who came to that were those who were in that community. So again, it gives me a chance to meet with different students. Now, the other thing about all of these meetups is I do try to keep them either free or very low cost. So looking for places that we can either meet for free or for a very nominal cost. So again, I've kind of, me personally, I'd rather go to a sit-down restaurant and have a good meal as opposed to fast food. But fast food tends to be a little more affordable for students, and so we'll pick places that it's more comfortable financially. McDonald's, Taco Bell, places like that where you can go in, you can eat, and it's not super expensive to meet. Now, if I'm meeting someone in a one-on-one meetup, then I'll pick a restaurant. It'll be a sit-down restaurant because I want to spend time with them talking, and in a nice place with some good food is a great place to do that. Now, the benefits of all of this. So for me, the benefits that I'm finding is that meetups do give me the opportunity to meet with different students at different times and different locations. So if I am not seeing a student come out to things or haven't heard from a student in a while, these meetups are a great opportunity for that to happen because it gives us that smaller group setting to actually connect. And if they do come to these meetups, then I can have more intentional conversation with them as we are meeting. Other benefits is I like small group ministry. I like being in smaller groups of students where we can have more intentional conversations. And so being able to focus on a student, having a conversation with them, I like that. And I find that that really does help me grow a better relationship with the students, especially as we're coming into the new school year. Having the time to spend with a student in these meetups, build up those relationships, make those connections, it really does help in that place of, providing for the student that trust factor that is going to keep them coming back to your student ministry. So I don't know that meetups are, I wouldn't say that this is a huge, brand new programming idea, but it's something that works for me, and I will probably continue to do meetups. Even next year, as we go back to a full summer calendar, I will still schedule a few meetups throughout the summer just so that I can have the time to meet with students in a small group setting, because I like them and they work. So be curious to know what you do. If you do small group stuff in the summer, if you do one-on-one meetups, if you do something like meetups, maybe you call it something different, or maybe it looks just a little different. I'd love to kind of hear about what you do when it comes to meeting up with students. Now, we've only got a few meetups left for this summer. School in our area starts about mid-August, and so I really only have probably one more week of meetups, and then we will call it quits for the summer. But then what I'll do is try to work with students either after school or on the weekends just to do one-on-ones until we actually start our student ministry program, which will be a little bit later on in September. Yeah, so that's it. Those are meetups. Hopefully you find that encouraging, maybe a little inspiring. Maybe you can use them with your students. Love to hear if you do and how it goes for you. Before we get out of here real quick, I'd love for you guys to check out the website, theyouthworkerdaily.com. We started theyouthworkerdaily.com a couple years ago with the sole purpose of providing tools, tips, resources, and helps so that youth workers can thrive in their ministry. And that's really what I intend to keep doing with the Youth Worker Daily as we move back into this school year. So there'll be blogs and articles and resources and various things that I'll be posting throughout the coming school year. Also, take a few minutes, check out our podcast. We started a podcast during COVID as a way to connect with youth workers, just to hear what they were doing during the COVID season. We called it Conversations with Everyday Youth Workers. We tried to do, we did it one season. We brought in second season, got a couple interviews in there. And then the busier my ministry got, I had to put it on the back shelf a little while, the back burners, until I can get more time to spend into it. But it's coming back, and right now I'm looking to line up some guests, some youth worker rock stars who are willing and wanting to come and share their story, to hear things like what got you into youth ministry, what keeps you in youth ministry, what God's doing in your youth ministry. Those are the stories, those are the conversations that I get excited to hear about, and I want to share them on our podcast. So if you'd like to be a guest, just click the link on the website for podcast guests. I'll reach out to you. We'll set something up. We'll do a Zoom call. We'll record it, and you'll be one of my next guests on the podcast. So love to have that take place, and for me to have a chance to meet you. And then just be checking out our social media. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I think all of those are the same still. It's going to be YTH Worker Daily. So look us up, follow along, engage us in the conversation, and let's continue to help each other thrive in our ministries. All right, that's going to do it for today. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow with another kind of update as to what we're doing in our ministry, and share some things that maybe will encourage and inspire you. Until then, have a great day. We'll see you next time.